started.
Yeah, anyway, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:04, I think, on my phone. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Chair Tagavis is out due to an illness. Vice Chair McCauley.
Here.
Committee Member Bowen.
Here.
Committee Member Chang.
Here.
Committee Member Gore.
Present.
Committee Member Guzman.
Here.
And Committee Member Yip.
Here.
All right, all are accounted for.
Great, okay, thank you very much. So could we have an agenda review?
Yes, there are no formal changes to the agenda as presented. At staff comments, I haven't received indication that our engineering division wanted to present information on some proposed bike lane buffers. It's not a critical, there's no critical time frame attached to it, but if they are here at around staff comments, we'll have them present on those bike lane buffer ideas and designs. If not, then we'll save it for the February meeting.
Okay, sounds good. What about oral communications?
As of 5 p.m. today, staff has not received any phone calls or emails regarding any items on the agenda from the public.
Alrighty. Then we'll move on to approval of the minutes of our last meeting, which was the November.
Mm-hmm.
Do I hear a motion? Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes? If not, signify no. Right, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of November?
Hi, this is Arian. I motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Hearing none, the minutes will be approved as written. Okay. Administrative business. Can we get? I guess we should get started with the BPAC reorganization.
Yes.
Right. Do we have nominations for the chairperson?
I nominate Frank.
Thank you very much. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. And any, I'll assume everybody is approving it unless you otherwise say so.
I
Okay.
approve.
Thank you.
I
Frank, you don't
second
want to.
that.
Frank, you don't want to vote just to officially recognize you as chair, or?
Well, all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Yeah.
Opposed? Hearing none. I'm now chair. Better be careful. I could take over this real easy. What about vice chair? Do we have nominations for vice chair?
Ooh, quiet group. What's going on here?
I
Come
nominate
on.
Reno.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Okay. Is there a second for Reno?
Second.
Somebody seconded. Okay. All those in favor of having Reno as vice chairperson signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Nothing opposed. Okay. Reno is vice chair.
Congratulations, Reno. Vice Chair Bowen. There you go.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. So the next order of business was the Centennial Trail Orange Memorial Park Master Plan update. I guess
Right.
the show's yours, Chris.
Yep. Actually, not mine. I'm here. My task tonight is to introduce our fellow members of staff. I believe Philip Vitale, Josh Richardson, and Greg Midiotti are here. So, guys, go ahead.
Great. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Philip Vitale, Deputy Director for Capital Projects with the City of South San Francisco. I guess I'm just going to quickly start in. I mean, Greg or Josh can chime in too, but we are basically just want to give you guys an update on the Centennial Trail and Orange Memorial Park Master Plan for the process of what we've done to date, what we've heard from the community, and sort of the design alternatives that we're looking at. And we have our consultant team of Calendar and Associates, and they'll dive deeper in that and help you understand sort of the background and sort of the reason why we're doing this right now. And you'll see that we've done a lot of community engagement with many stakeholder groups, and we just wanted to make sure to share with you guys an update of where we are and what to expect next. there's anything else to add, guys, chime in. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to, do you have anything to add, Greg? Nope, you're good? Okay. I'll hand it over to Brian Fletcher and Nate, who are with Calendar and Associates, and they have been leading us through this process. So you want to take it over, Brian?
Sounds good. Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate it. Can everyone hear me okay? Commissioners, I really appreciate the opportunity tonight to come in front of you and present kind of what we've been working on with two important master plans, the Orange Park Master Plan and as well as the Centennial Way Master Plan. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this works out well. Can everybody see the cover page of the presentation? Okay, fantastic. Let me go ahead and full screen here. Fantastic. Technology is a wonderful thing when it actually works. So just to give you an introduction on what we're going to be talking about tonight, I'm going to give you a little bit of background, not just from what we've been working on, but kind of why and what happened previously. You know, and then just so you know, what we ended up doing was combining these two efforts for the community outreach, as well as an arts master plan. We were very concerned about just confusion about two different efforts going at once. So when we reached out to the public, we saw obvious efficiencies as well as connectivity between the two projects. So we actually reached out to the community for both. To date, we have conducted our site analysis, collected community preferences through a variety of methods, in-person, pop-up meetings, open house, and online surveys. We've developed draft alternatives, which I'll present for you tonight and hoping to get feedback on. And we are currently working on draft master plans moving forward. So we're a little over halfway through the process. So I'm going to begin with Centennial Way. As you guys probably know, you know, Centennial Way was created way back when the BART tubes were constructed that were going from Colma down to Millbrae, and fortunate for South San Francisco, those were actually undergrounded. So that left a nice wide swath of land to actually develop a non-motorized trail system within the heart of the city. Calendar was fortunate back in 2003 to be a part of that initial process in developing that master plan. And since then, with the great help of grant opportunities and such, all of the improvements envisioned in that original 2003 master plan have actually been implemented to date, which is wonderful. So why are we now kind of working towards a new master plan? Well, there were certain properties that actually weren't available to us back then. This was a new thing. BART was holding on to control of some of that swath of land in hopes of, they didn't really know at the time. They just wanted to hold on to it in hopes of something else happening. I think since then, they wanted to turn over maintenance to the city, and the city has now entered into agreement for full control of the entire width of the corridor from, you know, essentially when you walk out there, fence line to fence line. So I'll be showing you where kind of the bigger areas of new opportunities are as I go through the plan itself. The other thing that has changed since then is just the development patterns within the city. If you've gone up and down the trail, you'll see new buildings, new residential units, new mixed use developments, new industrial planned for in and around the corridor. And it's important that this new master plan address opportunities for connectivity and how this trail will kind of interface with those new developments. So that was the reason for the master plan, and to re-engage the community for changing opportunities or changing needs and desires that this new property may provide. So I think you guys can see my little cursor here kind of floating through. You know, we first took a look at the site. You can see with all these images here, these are just some of the developments happening in and around the trail corridor itself. And the trail is this thin orange line that runs through from all the way from Tanfran, all the way through Spruce, past the high school, through Orange Park, across Chestnut, down kind of parallel to Mission Road, and finally ending up at the South San Francisco BART station itself. You know, we reached out to the community with these new spaces, these new opportunity areas. It opened up potential for amenities that were not available or not a potential early on. So we wanted to use images like this and get feedback from the community on what they actually wanted to see. And the input then was turned into some concept plans that I'm going to walk you through right now. Now, you guys are the BPAC, so I'll make sure that I'm highlighting the pedestrian and bike connections because that's an important component of this. So I'm going to focus on what we call 3 key opportunity areas, and these are where the path and the new areas are the largest. The first piece of land is between Tanfran and Spruce Avenue, highlighted in green right here. The next piece that was opened up to us is by South San Francisco High School. And the third and final piece is along Colma Creek, running parallel with Mission Road. So I'll focus today on those 3 areas. The master plan will cover the entire length in much more detail as we move forward. So we presented these alternatives, and you'll see alternative 1, alternative number 2 for each of those 3 zones. For this one, this is first area. So this is Tanfran is off to the left, Spruce Avenue is to the right. Because of the width here, it opened up for some opportunities for different amenities. In this case, it was pump track, skate park, and then more traditional park elements, picnic, open turf, that would be more associated with new development happening at 1477 Huntington. That's a new development project going in. The next alternative was a little bit of variation, going for different ball fields and such. But talk about bike and ped connections. You can see the trail itself is this gray dashed with a white dashed line down on the lower part of the property. That's existing out there today. So new connections that we're looking at is this new development is planning a pedestrian connection that runs from Huntington to their property line. So the new master plan needs to address that and continue that all the way to the trail. So now we've opened up some great new connectivity between Huntington Avenue and other developments that are proposed up in there to the trail itself. Moving to the South San Francisco option. Again, we're showing 2 alternatives, slightly different to get community input. This one here is looking to take advantage of proximity to the schools. So we're looking at outdoor classroom and nature walks. We're also looking at better connectivity to the high school itself, which is new and exciting. There was a little bit, or there was more concern about the connection when we first master planned this in 2003. But the school district is open to continue these conversations. And what that would do is open up a new pedestrian and bike connection right by the tennis courts, which would provide new opportunities for the students to be able to go to school without going on the street itself, which is exciting. The second alternative is a little bit different. It shows a pump track location, skate park, and some additional amenities within that zone. And as with multiple alternatives like this, when we're getting feedback from the community, we're not saying we're going to go with alternative 1 or alternative number 2. We're asking, what do you like best about each alternative, so that when we present the preferred master plan, it ends up being kind of a conglomeration of both of those. Finally, moving on to area 3. So I have Mission Road on the bottom here. I have South San Francisco's BART station on the right-hand side of this page. Colma Creek is this blue area here. And the existing trail, as you I'm sure are aware of, runs right parallel to Coma Creek. And that's the gray with the white dashed line here. There are some new exciting opportunities being explored. Kaiser is taking a look at the option for a pedestrian bridge that would cross from the campus, and they're currently master planning new campus improvements that would provide connectivity for workers, not only to get to work, but also after or during lunch hours and such, as well as community members on the other side of El Camino to access the trail here as well. You can see this location, and even down here, we want to encourage additional connectivity from the trail to Mission Road through potential development parcels. So we want to highlight opportunity zones, as well as look at Sequoia Avenue or Sequoia Lane and look for pedestrian connectivity from Mission Road at Sequoia Lane intersection over to the trail itself. So again, just some slight variations in design and amenities. This one's indicating a community garden, another dog park, a smaller dog park, but another one because there's new residential development happening in this area. So that would be a good amenity to have in this zone. Slightly more natural approach, removing the community garden, but adding what they call skate spaces, some small skate plazas along the way. So there'd be smaller skate events along the entire corridor. So that was Centennial Way. If you'd like, I can go through Orange Park and then we can follow up with questions and answers so I can conclude my effort, if that works for everyone. Okay, so Orange Memorial Park, similar. What's the history? The previous master plan was done back in 2007. Why are we doing a master plan now? There were some areas here called Cal Water actually owns this property that I'm kind of drawing a circle with my cursor. At the time, back in 2007, there was great momentum for an agreement between the city and Cal Water, either a purchase or use agreement to expand park amenities there. That's kind of gone a little slow paced and may not happen. So the new master plan should address what if that was not available, what would, how would the plan be adjusted? And then, as you know, if you go by the site right now, this portion of the park is actually dug up, and that's a stormwater treatment and reuse facility that is going on in there. And that's going to provide opportunities for water to actually be diverted from Coma Creek and then actually used for irrigation in the park and also on Centennial Way. And then also to address kind of new thoughts from the community. So again, we wanted to reach out and engage the community and such. So we developed, again, opportunities, constraints diagram, circulation, use zones. We showed them a whole bunch of imagery on what sort of amenities could go into the park that currently aren't there, and had them respond to it. And we came up with two alternatives to present to them. And as you can see, both alternatives no longer show that Cal Water property as being a park expansion. Both alternatives show the proposed new synthetic turf fields that are going on top of the water treatment project that's going in right now. And both concepts do show a proposed new location for a swim center that the city is currently looking at, and that's at in these alternatives at the intersection of Orange and Tennis Drive. So what are the differences? Let's take a quick look. It's pretty much the same south of Coma Creek. Again, half of that is the new fields going in. The other half is going to be just as part of the master plan, an update, renovation of picnic areas and play areas. There's a minor difference. One shows some park facilities in this little area, and the other shows greenhouse and community garden. The main difference is in this area here. Again, here's where the Cal Water property was or is, Chestnut Avenue, Commercial Avenue. So we showed two alternatives. One would be a skate park and pump track. The other one was fields. To highlight the connectivity here, in both alternatives, we're proposing a pedestrian and bike connection from Chestnut Avenue all the way into the park that runs parallel with Coma Creek, which is currently not there. So that's going to dramatically improve connections for the community from the new Civic campus, from Mission Road, all the way into Orange Park, which wasn't there before. The other connection that we're going to be studying is a connection through the existing community gardens along Commercial Avenue, and working with Cal Water for a pedestrian connection at that location as well. This is eucalyptus that goes into the community. That will continue to be pedestrian connection, bikes and such. Vehicular connection is blocked at this and will remain blocked. The other alternative shows multi-purpose fields. And then when we get to these areas, so again, Orange Avenue, Tennis Drive, the existing tennis courts, we're looking at adding amenities such as like pickleball courts in these locations here. We're looking at renovating the existing play area to be more of a universally accessible play area. Looking at modifications when the existing swim center gets demolished. And then we're also exploring opportunities along the creek itself for renovating the creek. So going from kind of the old school, let's concrete line this channel, to actually removing some of that concrete and restoring it back to more of a naturalized creek that would provide additional pedestrian and bike connections within the park itself in a much more natural environment. So that's what this alternative shows. The second alternative, pretty similar, except for retains the existing alignment of Coma Creek and existing channelized, but still looks for opportunities for improved connectivity across Coma Creek itself. So where are we in the process? We have gone through our initial outreach, program development, the initial review of these alternatives with the community, as well as the Park and Recreation Commission. We're here to you tonight to get your input. We're currently drafting the initial master plan. And again, we'll be bringing that back to the commissions, refining it, and then going to council, hopefully in spring, with a draft final master plan for review. So with that, I'll stop sharing screen and open it up to some questions.
Since this is Natalie, since we are building more apartments, I really appreciate that we're considering adding more green spaces. And if I had a suggestion, is to make sure that along the trail that we try to leave it open for as much recreation as possible. So if I had my druthers, I would prefer, open green spaces connected with a bike and walking trail, and also like one of the examples had a soccer field. To me, that would be a great use of the space, given that we're doing high density building and green spaces are limited in the city overall.
Great, thank you.
So this is Tommy. I like diversity and different options, right? So for example, one of them, recommend the bicycle pump track, right? I don't think we have one of those in this area. Some of the other options, recommended, like a baseball field or whatnot. It seems like a lot of park space is already dedicated to baseball fields. So I like the fact that this took into account the, that type of diversity of activities to encourage things that don't exist already.
Hi, it's Arian. Can I add on to that? I love the outdoor classroom because as a mom of two boys, when they were in elementary school, that would have been so wonderful for them to be outside. You know, they have a lot of energy. And it would still be great to meet Natalie's requirement.
Absolutely.
Had a raised hand from committee member Yip. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I have a logistical question. Is there any way that we could get the presentation or handouts before the meeting so we have a chance to preview?
Yeah, certainly. We'll work on that for future meetings and presentations like this. Yeah.
Okay. And then secondly, sorry, I forgot the presenter's name, Brian.
Yeah.
Is one of the goals of the master plan to connect communities and to bring connections to the trail?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think, you know, the way to maximize the use of Centennial Way is to make it easy for people to get there. Okay.
One of the options that I really liked that you presented was the connections from Centennial Way to South City High, as well as to the properties that are along Mission Road near the BART station. So I guess my follow-up question for that is, you had mentioned that there were some development opportunities near there. What mechanisms, like would the master plan be considering mechanisms to encourage or to require those connections, or would it just be like some sort of agreement with the property owner?
So the master plan is there to identify and encourage opportunity sites when, and then when developers come in, they will see that and that's all part, well, Philip, why don't you address it? You can say it more eloquently than I am. Basically, the city can negotiate and work with them and say, hey, we need a connection here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll chime in and maybe Adina might be able to back this up, but what we see with this plan is identifying where we want to have those additional connections to the community. So with this, we have sort of a guiding document. So as future developments come along, we can indicate where, as part of their development agreement, they need to provide access through that. So we're not necessarily going to purchase the property, but part of the development would be for them to include that public access.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd like to make a strong recommendation that that's something that should be included in the plan, especially throughout Centennial Way Trail. It's a super important corridor for biking pedestrian.
Great.
I want to echo what Tommy said about sort of the diversity of stuff that people have access to activity-wise, because I know that we don't have a skate park, we don't have a place for bikes, those bike pump things. I've seen those before, never around here. I hope that whatever we end up landing upon, we end up including at least one of each of those, kind of keeping the activities buried along that path. I think that's like really, really cool, especially like by a high school and stuff, giving kids something else to do after class and stuff like that. And I also, I think I noticed something about lighting, which I feel like, I don't know if it's actually an issue because I'm a little far away from the trail to walk there often, but I don't know how much of an issue along the entire length of the path that lighting is an issue. I know, like, I feel like in general, South City is, at least the places I walk, are pretty well lit, but that's definitely something that I think is worth like keeping in mind.
I don't know. I feel uncomfortable. As a lady, I feel uncomfortable walking there at night by myself. So more lights would make me happy. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard a lot about lighting from the community. So it was hard to see in those alternatives, but the amount of lighting was at least doubled in both of those alternatives.
Is the trail pretty well unbroken end to end? Are there any particularly kind of like nasty intersections or cross streets or anything like that? Can people pretty reliably take this point to point?
Yeah, I think I think it's pretty unique in that it is, and it's only getting better. Right now under development with the police station and the civic campus, there's actually a new intersection at Antoinette. Is that right? They got the street right. There's a new signalized intersection happening at Antoinette, which is going to make that connection much more direct than what it ever was in the original master plan. One thing our plan will want to address is upgrading the intersection at Orange Avenue. You know, just technology and best practices definitely changed over the years when it comes to mid-block crossings. So we'll want to make sure that is included in an upgrade for that. So right now there's actually pretty darn good connectivity across roadways and some connecting trails as well. So
one last thought that I had was about shade. I feel like this is something that, like, along a lot of walking paths is difficult to come across. I know that when I spent some time in Mexico City, it was amazing because you could find all these places where it was just trees all along a path. And so you could sort of see sunshine, but not have to like have a slathering of sunscreen to not get burnt. I'm pretty pale, but I don't know if that's a consideration at all, or even something that's kind of like tenable, but I think it's like something to think about.
absolutely, thank you. Yeah.
I had an additional question. At the park near Taffran, we had a presentation a while back where they mentioned that they were going to add a development, a business development park over there, and I think extend the street there to Linden. Is that still in the works? And how is this plan being integrated with that plan, if it is?
Answer that. Hi, I'm Adina. I'm principal planner with the planning division. And yeah, the project that you're referring to is the Southline specific plan. And that did come to BPAC, oh my gosh, it was a while ago. It might've been a year ago. And that plan is still moving forward. It is in basically environmental review right now, and would likely be going to Planning Commission and City Council for approval first half of this year. So, it's a good question. How does it connect? It's a little bit physically, it is a little bit disconnected, but we are the applicant for here. I can actually, maybe I should share my screen. The applicant for that project will be making trail improvements to Centennial Way Trail down at their end of the trail as well. But it's a little, I don't think the project that you are being asked to review and provide comment on today, I don't think the extent of it connects all the way down to Tanforan in terms of looking at the recreational amenities. Is that correct, Philip? In terms of the extent?
I think so. I'm not familiar with exactly the parcel that she's referring to.
Yeah, I can answer this.
Okay.
So yeah, I've also looked at those plans for that project, and it will largely be impacting just the plaza at Tamarack right there, or not Tamarack, sorry.
Huntington and South Maple.
At Huntington.
South Maple, yeah.
Yeah. But our plans mainly extend to the end of that large square lot, and there's already landscaping and trees that run towards that section where that development is happening. So that would probably see some upgrades, but nothing, there's not enough space there for any recreational amenities. So it would just be green space with trees and stuff.
So I can, just for some context, I happen to have the plans up on my screen because I spend a lot of time looking at them. So I can just do a quick screen share and kind of show the extent of the Southline project. It's helpful. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. So here is, so the Southline project, I think, Josh, what you were talking about was like this area down here.
Yeah.
Maple, yeah, Maple Huntington. So yeah, there would be some upgrades. Applicant for Southline would definitely be focusing on some pedestrian and bike improvements down at that area, but there's not really space for the recreational amenities, such as in the ideas that Calendar was sharing. Shops.
Thank you.
how is cost a factor in deciding, you know, like option 1 versus 2 versus 3? Or is it not an option? Not a big deal. Like, are they roughly the same budget anyhow?
Well, the reality of this is there isn't money to construct any of this. These are forward-thinking master plans that identify what the community and decision makers want to do. So it's a visionary project. I think what's great about this and why it's important to do it even without the money is that when these developers come in, there is a plan that they can then, work towards not only implementing connectivity within their own site, but as Adina just mentioned, there's also opportunities for the developers to actually develop some of these trail improvements themselves. So even though we don't have the budget to build it, it's important to have it to then kind of pick away at this. And just like the first master plan, that generated 2 or 3 different grants that made that project a reality. So that's what's really important. As far as the cost of either one, we haven't compared the two as far as cost for that particular reason. We're just trying to identify a vision, but they're all pretty comparable.
I'd say it's kind of a mutually beneficial arrangement, right? In that the developer gets to maximize the use of their land to increase housing. So there is some profit there for them, but in turn, the city does get some benefit in having some better public amenities for users along this really vacant stretch. So it's kind of a win-win for both parties if they were to fund the upgrades.
And it's really providing us a guiding document, as Brian mentioned, so that it's not with each developer, we go through a community process to find out what should be adjacent to theirs. We want to really look at this holistically and see what makes sense in one location over another location, so that there's really that guiding document. So we're telling the developer, here's what the community has expressed they want, versus the developer saying, here's what we want adjacent to our space. So that's why it's great to have all this community engagement. We have a guiding document, and as Brian and Greg mentioned, for funding purposes, if you've done that community engagement, you have a plan, a lot of those grants want you ready to apply and be able to build right away. They don't necessarily want you to take this time that we're spending right now. They want you to have already done that. So we're going to be queued up and ready to start applying.
I really like that you highlighted some access to the trails, which I think is an important aspect of this project, because right now access to that trail is limited, and so I don't think that the community is getting the full benefit. If we have more entry and exit points, I think it would be really helpful to getting the community to know it's there, number one, and to use it, which, I mean, it's a great connector for individuals who live over there from, Tanforan to the BART station.
Absolutely. Someone's getting some puppy love.
Frank, I think you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. I just want to reiterate what Natalie was saying there about the access. I really appreciate all of the new access points proposed. Hopefully that can happen. The other item I liked was the bicycle areas. I forget what you referred to them as, but we've discussed that before at these meetings about encouraging children to ride bikes. And so that would be wonderful. And I would recommend that we put it close to Orange Park in that segment, because we're looking at doing it potentially in the future, doing events, teaching kids how to ride and what have you, maintenance on bicycles, and having a location close to the park would be a nice central area to perform that, rather than out at the different ends of the trail. So that's looking great. Thank you very much. Any other comments from anybody? All right, Brian, wonderful presentation. Thank you.
So sorry, one more thing, Brian. So how is the options weighed? Like, is it like a vote, or is it like you guys just take input and then you recommend 3 options to the city and they decide, or how does the decision happen?
So we presented these 2 alternatives to the community in several different forums. We had pop-up, we had community open house, and we had online surveys. And it wasn't really a vote. It wasn't like, hey, we want option one, we want this. It was more of, what do you like about this option? How could this option be better? That sort of input's more valuable because, like I said, you know, different elements from each of those options are going to be combined into the preferred plan. So we're going to be taking the input from tonight, from all the community input, as well as the Park and Rec Commission, and developing a single one preferred plan line for Centennial, one preferred plan for Orange Park, and then bringing it back to the commissions as a public meeting that the community can provide input. We're going to take that input, refine it, and then bring it to council for hopeful review and approval.
Okay, any more comments? Hearing none, again, thank you, Brian. Thank you, staff.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Chris. Well, I guess we'll go back to committee comments. Any other comments from the committee about general items? Just Natalie, thank you for mentioning that other development at the far end of the trail today. That was good to reference there. All right, hearing no other comments. Any staff comments?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to, there was a chat message from committee member Chang of whether we can get that PDF. I'll get it from Philip and send it after this meeting, likely tomorrow. But be on the lookout for the email with the presentation you saw tonight about the master plan. Second is I did not see engineering log on, so we'll save that for our February meeting about the buffered bike lane ideas and designs. What I did want to remind BPAC is that you should have received an email about a new payroll system from finance. I'm not that in tune about it, but you should have received it sometime in the last 2 weeks. I see committee member Bowen nodding, but doesn't look like anybody else did. All right. Well, so
You got it.
you got it, Frank. Okay. Arian, no?
I don't see it. What is it? What is it saying?
It's basically asking you to create an account for a new payroll system that finance is implementing in the new year, beginning, I think, like the pay period for tomorrow. So if you didn't receive it, I'll make sure our planner tech, Patricia, sends it out again, just so you can go through that, because that's, I believe, the only way you'll get paid for your time. So we'll make sure you've received it. Let me just double check. Daryl, did you receive that? No.
I didn't receive that.
Okay, Tommy?
I received it. I submitted it.
Okay, good. All right, we'll double check. Natalie? You did. Okay, all right. I'll double check for you, Daryl and Arian.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't read everything. Sorry. I'll look for it though.
Yeah, no worries.
Patty Kotler.
Yeah, Patricia Kotler. That's who sent it out. Yeah.
Okay, let me search for that. I bet she's in my spam. I'm sorry. Tell her I'm sorry. She's in my spam.
No worries.
Well, sorry, I did receive an email from Patricia.
Yeah.
And I responded. Was that the email? There was nothing to create an account though.
Oh, okay. Let me double check with Patty tomorrow morning, and then we'll get it sorted out. Okay.
I found her email though. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, just so
Tell her I'm sorry.
I dealt with this from Parks and Rec. I believe they have to submit like a W-9 and some other information, because we'll process you all as basically through accounts payable instead of as employees now. So it's just a minor tweaking to the system. I think it's a W-9 and maybe one other form. And it's pretty simple. So
thank you,
Well,
Greg.
thank you for letting me know about it, Chris. Sorry. Apologize.
No, we're tasked with making sure our commissions and committees know about it, because we also don't feel like this was sprung on us like late in the year too. It's like, whoa, what are we supposed to do about it? So for those who've gotten it done, thank you, and for those that are still missing that, we'll get you set up. And I think that is, and then the only other update is that February is when we will do the workshop for the active South City Bike and Ped master plan. I do have in my possession the latest draft version of it that we've gone through with like our engineering, gone through all of our current developments and updated that, including what all the comments that we solicited from BPAC through last year. So we'll have that we have our consultant Alta Planning is going to workshop that with us and walk us through that in our February meeting. And then I believe that same week we're ready to put it out for public comment for, I believe, like 2 to 3 weeks or so. So we're this close. But what I wanted to ask BPAC is if you wanted to see that draft before the workshop ahead of time. I know Daryl needs to see that because given that he's new to BPAC, has never seen that work. I'm pretty sure Arian has not. So I'll share that with you in a separate email just so you have that, and then be ready to speak on the things that you want to see on it when we open up public comment in February. So that's the update. And it's not moving from February because I told our consultant we're not paying them if they don't do this in February. So we're done waiting. I don't want this on my plate throughout the spring. So.
All righty.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, of course.
And without any further ado, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Natalie. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Oh, Arian. Thank you, Arian. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
At 6:50, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
All
you,
right, thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Good
Yeah,
night.
Bye,
stay
everyone.
safe. Happy New
Bye,
Year.
everyone. Have a good night.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.